Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I have been doing a horror marathon for a while, and of course, Halloween came along. I watched all the Halloween films, and normally I do that every year on Halloween. I do basically only on Halloween. I watch the Halloween films, I watch all of them, except the Rob Zombie ones. I watched them the first the year or two that they were released, and then I just was like, I don't need to do this to myself. So, but this year I thought it might be fun to review each of them because this year actually there's so many interviews and commentaries and documentaries and specials. I just ended up just going until I watched everything, and it took like 2 weeks because obviously I wasn't doing it all day every day. But when I sort of got to sit down and look at something, it was like I'm just going to watch the rest of this Halloween stuff, and just kept going, going, going. So it took like 2 weeks. But I watched the films, and I had a bit more insight into them because of all the extra stuff that I watched, and like I said, documentaries and commentaries and fan reviews and podcasts and things. And I have to say, it's kind of shocking the journey that some of these films have gone on. Now, I started doing reviews a week or so ago, and I was really tired. It was about 4 a.m. I didn't make it through the H2O, so I think I'll stop and I'll finish the reviews of them later. So I'm going to do H2O now. H2O had so many. It started off being a direct-to-video film because Six had done so poorly, and there was about three different versions of it. Then Jamie Lee Curtis, and there's sort of debate about, did Jamie Lee Curtis approach them about doing the film? Did they approach her? Apparently, she approached John Carpenter and Deborah Hill about doing an anniversary film on the 20th anniversary. And the studio was thinking the same thing and approached them and like, we were just thinking about that. And she became quite a cheerleader for it, but she wanted everyone involved. But then John, who has had a chip on his shoulder for 20 years because he apparently didn't negotiate a decent cut of the film in his contract, because it was his third film. He probably didn't know what he was doing with the contracts, and the film made like 70 million, and he didn't get a big enough cut of it. So every time the studio wanted him to work on a Halloween film, it was like, sure, if you pay me like $10 million to direct it, that'll make up for the money you owe me from the first film. And of course, you can't negotiate with something like that, so it never happened. So he and Deborah walked away, and Jamie stayed. Not sure why, but it seemed to go well, except we got to the end of the film, and there's a bit of an issue, because she did the whole film as a thank you to the fans and also to end the series with on a high note with some dignity, and actually have Jamie come back and kill Michael Myers and win. And I saw the film on Halloween night, 1998, 20 years after the original. It was amazing. And I was shocked when I saw the ending, and I walked out thinking it was over. But apparently, Mustafa Akkad, who I love, R.I.P., he had a clause in the contract that they couldn't kill Michael Myers. And they eventually, Jamie didn't know this right away, and eventually she worked out something was happening because the endings kept being rewritten and being soft, and there's no definitive murder. And then they told her, we can't kill him. And she's like, that's the whole point. That's why I'm here. That's why we're doing this. So she was going to walk, and they ended up coming back to her, Kevin Williamson, and said, look, how about we write it so he swaps with a paramedic, and she actually kills the paramedic by mistake. So at the end, the audience will think he's dead, so they'll get that experience, that reaction, but we can still do a film, and they're going to film a couple of scenes now so that they could do that. So that's what she did, but she did negotiate that she would appear in the next film, and they had to kill her. So that's why in the next film she dies. And I love H2O. It's 5 minutes too short. It needed a few more scenes. Once the real action hits, it's over real quick, and they get just down to Jamie and Michael, and that doesn't drag out, but you couldn't. It's the perfect time, but you couldn't push that much further. They needed a bit more before that. But I love the film. It still holds up. It's great. I think it was a better conclusion to the series than the trilogy that they then later made. And it was strange to see Jamie die, and I didn't think about it a lot at the time because I saw it in the cinema, a couple of years after the original, after H2O. And I really enjoyed parts of that film, so I don't hate it like some others do. But it's kind of hard now to watch H2O. The way I think of it is, it was the end. He did die, and I don't really consider the next 15 minutes of filmed Halloween. But yeah, H2O probably my favorite. Halloween 4. I mean, the original is the original, and then it's 4, which I thought was great, and H2O, which I thought was great as well. So that's my little review of H2O. I'm glad it got made. It nearly didn't. It nearly got ended. They compromised on stuff. It doesn't hurt the film itself, but when you actually know the context and know about what happens in the next film, it does undermine the film after the fact. So you have to sort of decide how to view it.